Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we're honored to be with Angie Cornwell. She's the Major Gifts Officer with Barefoot Republic Camp. How are you doing?
Doing terrific. Loving this sunny weather, Jeremy. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. So we get to talk about faith and camp and kids coming together and families and so much more. But before we dive into that, give us a little bit of history. This is a cool storyline in terms of how the camp was founded. And so start with some history for Barefoot Republic Camp.
I would love to. Thank you so much. I love our history and I love telling this story. Our founder, Tommy Rhodes, grew up in a very interesting family life. He is Japanese American and grew up in Alabama. And everyone in Alabama was black or white. He did not fit in very well. So he spent a lot of his life, especially his early years. His story is his mom had been divorced several times. They restarted a lot of times. And he was struggling to find, like, where did he belong? So the last time that they restarted was here in the Nashville area. Someone in his school invited him to youth group. And that was the first time Tommy ever felt accepted somewhere. And the youth pastor there became the closest thing he ever had to a dad. So that was a real shift in his life. Fast forward a little bit, he went on to college and came home for the summer, and this youth pastor invited him to be a counselor at camp. And it was a very affluent camp, and Tommy did not grow up with those means, and he was very intimidated by that and thought, what will I have in common with these families, with these young men? He went to camp and realized after he was supposed to teach tennis, and they said, actually, we're going to put you in the dorms with the young men. And he was like, do you know me? Like, I've never done anything like this. Have you done any background checks? He was just a little bit intimidated by that. But within a few hours, honestly, of being with these young men, he realized at the core, we're all the same. And he realized just because they had resources did not mean they had peace in their home, did not mean that their families didn't struggle with a lot of the same things, and that at their core, they didn't also need love and acceptance and a place to belong. And that's when he realized also throughout that camp, that was the closest he ever felt to God, was in that camp experience. And so he's reflecting and he calls his mom, he asks, why did you never send me to camp? Like, this would have changed my whole life if I had come like these young men are coming. And she said, did you ask him how much it cost? And he said, my goodness, did this really go back to money? And she said, ask him how much. And it was several $1,000s. So then he goes to God and he said, why is this only for the wealthy? Why is this connection with you and each other only for the wealthy? And he said, it's not fair. And he felt in his heart, God said, at 19 years old, you're right. What are you going to do about it? So at 19 years old, he felt this prompting to do something about making this experience and this connection available to all people and families. And so that's where Barefoot began. Fast forward, he was what his wife called a hotshot scientist. He was studying for his PhD. He's a super, super smart guy, doing a lot of scientific work, but all he could do while he's sitting in that lab, here he is almost into his doctorate, and all he can think about is camp. So finally, his other scientist friends are like, we feel called to be a scientist. You feel called to camp. Why are you here? Sold his baseball card collection. He said he's very embarrassed to say they sold his baseball collection and did a garage sale and ended up with $20,000 total, everything they owned, and bought a piece of property in Kentucky, which now that's where our overnight camp is. So it's a beautiful story, and 24 years now, this is going to be our 24th year of camp. And
yeah, I think it's an awesome testimony to the calling and, being faithful, following the passion, the higher purpose, the diversity, knowing firsthand the importance of the camp and what it means to him, but to so many others. So I think there's a lot of cool personal storylines there that are all woven together, obviously. Talk about the name and what it signifies.
Well, back to that, we're all the same at the core. We all need to be loved. We all need purpose. We all need to belong. And when you take off your shoes and everybody's barefoot, it levels that arena of we're all the same. We're really all the same. If you're not wearing fancy shoes or not fancy shoes or that sort of thing. Just when we strip down to our core, we all are the same.
And then the republics are the different living areas that are kind of communities, smaller communities within the larger communities. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have the little different groups, and so we'll have girl republics, guy republics, and that gives them an opportunity to find that camaraderie. And we are so passionate and very dedicated to including people of all cultures, socioeconomic, all zip codes. You know, everyone is together. And we actually had last year 49 countries represented during our camp season last year. So we're passionate about it. We hold spots for that. We will refuse finances, which, you know, in a nonprofit, that's hard to do. But we'll refuse people who are willing to pay full price to make sure that folks who can't have that opportunity, no child is ever denied an opportunity to come to Barefoot because of finances.
So talk about how it works, because obviously it's Christ-centered, diversity, making sure that everyone is included, looking at, you know, not only the financial piece, but making sure that everyone has access. So a lot of pieces to the puzzle to pull together, but talk about kind of how it works and the time frames and the different camps. Go ahead and start diving in.
We have so much to explore here, but one thing, like I said, we're passionate about the diversity piece, and that doesn't mean just color, it's culture. And that means we want, you know, everyone. And so we have several partners in the city that are already tapped in and doing great work, like Franktown, Path United, Preston Taylor Ministries. There are so many that we can go ahead and name there. We have just so many partners that are so great to help us find folks of a different ethnicity and maybe resources. But we also then connect with folks in Williamson County and the surrounding areas of Southern Kentucky as well, Bowling Green. We have especially church partners. We have day camps all throughout the summer in the Nashville, Kentucky area. We're actually also doing one in Atlanta this year. So we find partners in that area already doing a great job connecting with the different cultures. And we bring our camp, the day camp is mobile. So we go from site to site to site. The first 2 weeks we're at Amy Grant's farm. The rest of the summer we're at church partners and throughout the area. And we pack up, take our staff, and do our programming there. Something else that's really wonderful about our programming is it has diversity in the programming as well. So we have the sports. So we have soccer, basketball, that archery, all of those types of things. Then we also have music. We have songwriting, making of the band, spoken word. We have dance. We also have outdoor adventures. We have hiking. We have water sports at our overnight camp. We have horseback riding. And so we have something that everyone, whether it's what you typically do, what I love is when someone comes and says, like, I play sports all year. I think I want to go ride a horse, or I want to go write a song. I've never done that before. It's a time to explore the diversity of interests as well. And then we have our overnight camp in Southern Kentucky, a beautiful 120-acre campus where we also host retreats in the off season. So if someone wanted to help support the ministry in that way, bring your work group, your church group. A retreat center is beautiful, 14 hotel style rooms and 4 tree houses that sleep more than 50 in each one of those. We call them tree houses, but one thing that I love is we want, a lot of these kids may or may not have a vacation experience, and so it's more like a resort. Air conditioned, boating, all the things, zip lining, rock wall climbing, a ropes course. We've got a lot going on there that feels more like vacation, and that is intentional for them.
Yeah, I love it. Talk about what the feedback is from the youth.
You know, they say, I love it. One of my favorite stories is I sat up, we have testimony night at our overnight camp on Friday night till 2 a.m. These kids sharing what happened in their life that week, what God did, what friendships they found. And what we believe is when Jesus is healing hearts here at camp, their shared experiences and joy of these different cultures is going back and healing communities, because they're going to go back to their school. And if someone has a bias, they're going to say, wait a minute, my friend, John, I met at camp. He's not like that at all. And it really, we believe with all of our hearts, we're not only changing them in the heart, but we're going to go back and change what's happening in their community as well. And that's where we've added family camps and so many beautiful experiences where moms, dads from different backgrounds, different places come, different countries come, and we have mother-daughter, father-daughter, mother-son, father-son, and then full family camps that happen as well. And we are just as intentional about that diversity in that setting. And it's so beautiful what happens there.
Yeah, and I love the ripple effect like you're talking about, where it happens in those moments, but then they take it back to their communities, and that ripple effect then is able to happen. Talk more about the family camps in terms of typical duration, timing. You mentioned some of the experiences. Give us a little more detail on the family camps.
Yes, we have those. They're for a weekend, and then start at dinner time on Friday night and end after lunch on Sunday. And we have one of my favorite, especially is father-daughter. We have mother-daughter coming up at the end of this month, still a little bit of room. But father-daughter, we have so much fun seeing those dads realize, my daughter's really a lot of fun. I think I want to spend more time with her when I go home. We've had them say such thing as that. But we have a mixture of, we have a kickoff kind of carnival on Friday night in our indoor skate park area. And then conclude, one of our highlights is where the dads give a night of affirmation to their daughter. They get all dressed up. We have a horse-drawn carriage pick them up. The dad greets them with a rose, and then they seat them in front of everyone in this big, beautiful, ornate chair, and they say, "This is my daughter, and she is loved, and these are the things I love about her." And it's just a moment that we give some language, some opportunity for parents to do some things they wish they did all the time, and then they take that back home as well. So
very cool. Talk about how the community can support your efforts. Obviously, you mentioned the nonprofit side, but talk about whether it's volunteerism with the camps, financial contributions, obviously. Talk about the many ways the community can help.
Thank you so much for giving that opportunity. We have, of course, every bit of the way we function is through donations, mostly individuals. We are fortunate to be debt-free and able to give out. We gave out over $528,000 in financial support last year to campers. So barefootrepublic.org is our website where they can go and make a contribution. We have really fun events that you can join as well. We have a golf outing coming up on May 15th here in Nashville. All the information's on our website. Bring a team, sponsor a hole. There's a lot of different opportunities to help there. Our clay shoot, we have a fun clay shoot in August at our Kentucky campus. We also have our largest fundraiser is the fall banquet, and we host that at Amy Grant's farm. And that is where we raise a lot of our funding for the whole year. You can sponsor a child to camp. Day camp is $250. That covers getting that child to camp, and then $500 covers overnight. And so we try to keep it super affordable for folks to help us. Of course, volunteers, we need a lot of volunteers helping with camp. If you have a gift or a talent with sports or music, any of that, or you just want to come serve a meal, sometimes we have groups come and serve a meal. And of course, our retreat center is another wonderful opportunity. Anytime you come and stay, then that is, even as a family, you can rent out a tree house for a family reunion, spend some time on the lake. That is also going to help us with those costs throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many easy ways, obviously, just like you're talking about, to support that higher mission and purpose, which I want to go back to the ripple effect. Talk about that, because it is for youth coming together and appreciating diversity and learning so many life skills and character development. And then you've got the faith foundation. And then, like you talk about with the families, all of this has a higher purpose of making our communities, our world better. And so talk about kind of that why, in terms of why the community needs to really support your efforts in a bigger way.
I think it's no secret that our country is very fragmented. We're in silos, as we would say. There's a lot of people who only know people in their circle. And a lot of healing needs to happen among cultures. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. And we really believe in the setting of camp. That's so natural. Kids, when they're pulled away and they're out there riding horses with someone, you're not thinking about a lot of other issues in life. You're not thinking about what, a lot of them too, they're not thinking about, what am I going to eat today? Or they're not thinking about, I've got to be ready for this practice or something like that. They just are out there having fun and realizing I can do this with people who don't look like me. And it's really great. And one beautiful story. We had one mother come to mother's son, and she had adopted a young son of diversity, special needs, and she is Caucasian, he is Black, and there were other Black families there, and she was a little nervous because sometimes she felt like they didn't appreciate, they thought maybe they didn't like that she had adopted a son of diversity, when she just really, their family just wanted to love on him and give him a home. And there was a real healing moment where she shared that and was vulnerable, and those other moms came and they held her and thanked her for what she was doing. And that was just a healing moment that she had felt, culturally felt. And that's just one of many stories that as these kids go back to their families, they're going to feel different, not only about themselves and what they've felt, that acceptance and that love, but they're going to feel different about our country and other countries and people who don't look like them, and realize, you know what, at the heart of it all, we're the same and we can love each other and function peacefully.
Absolutely. You mentioned it earlier. Go ahead and mention it again. Where do we go to learn more, to get involved, take next steps? So website, social media, where do we go?
Yes, all of the places. Barefootrepublic.org is our website. There's all of our events. You can join in, just get on our mailing list so you can learn everything that's happening. Come to an event, join camp. We would love to host any of you at camp. Also, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all of that as well, Barefoot Republic. And it's Barefoot Republic Camp and Retreat Center. If you want to Google us, you can find all the beautiful stories. We're on YouTube. There are so many fun camp videos there. You can see it in action. And also, I'd love to host you. If you want to come, go to our Kentucky campus. I personally would love to take you there and show you around.
Well, Angie, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for having me.